go to the DFA and authenticate all of your documents. All right? All right? All right? Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing great. And before we start, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to those people who have been watching my previous vlogs. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And also, I would like to apologize if it seemed that I was not really confident in my previous vlogs. Please understand that I am not used to it. Well, I do like taking pictures, taking photo of me, even selfie, but filming yourself is quite a different thing. So give me some more time. Don't worry, I am practicing and I hope soon it will be better. Anyway, for today's vlog, I am going to share my own experiences in terms of processing a work permit. You might be asking if is work permit really necessary for me to be able to work in Vietnam? The answer there is a big yes. Why? Why is it necessary to have a work permit? First, the number one reason is according to Vietnam law, if foreigners want to work in Vietnam, they have to work here legally. So how can they work legally? The answer is they have to obtain the work permit. Second, you can definitely save a lot of money. Why? Because you have two options. First, you buy the visa every 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. But of course, the longer the validity is, the price will be higher. Or you get a temporary resident card valid for 2 years, but you just have to pay once with a very cheap amount. But the thing is, for you to be able to get that resident card, one of the requirements is a work permit. So that's why it's important. Number 3, if you are a Filipino working in Vietnam, one of the requirements that POEA or OWA will ask you is to provide your work permit. So if you have the work permit, it will be easier for you. Though if you don't have it, you can show them your business visa and your contract. But still, if you have the work permit, it will be very easy for you. It will be much easier for you. Fourth, if you have the work permit and it happens that there will be police check in your centers or in the school that you are working at, you are safe because you're working in a company that sponsors you. So you don't have to worry about anything. But just in case that there's a police check and you are working there in a specific school and the authority asks you for a work permit, definitely you might be in trouble. And those are the main reasons why I encourage everyone to do anything in your power to have the work permit. Because it's not just you follow the law, but also it's for the protection of yourself. It's for your own safety. Because whatever happens, if there are police checks, as I've said, you're safe. I mean, they will not question you for anything because you are legally working in that specific place. You might also want to ask me if should we be the one to process our own work permit? Well, the answer there is no. Definitely your employer, your company, your English centers, or your school should be the one to process your work permit. Now, let's talk about the requirements needed for you to start processing your work permit. Actually, there are only 2 sets of documents needed. The first set should be coming from your employer, and the second set are your documents, your own personal documents. The reason why I've said that the first set should be from your employer is because they should be the first one to submit their own document. They will ask the Ministry of Labor to permit them to hire foreigner workers in their company. And the requirements that will be asked by the Ministry of Labor should be their license to operate. If they can provide that, then definitely the Ministry of Labor will allow them to hire the foreigners. But the thing is, this, not all the companies here in Vietnam have the license to operate. So definitely you have to ask your employer first during the interview if they can process a work permit for you. So you will be on the safe side, and you will not have any problem in terms of processing your work permit. Second is your own personal documents. Anyway, guys, I have here the list of requirements. So I'll be able to make sure that I will enumerate all of them, because it will be a big regret if I will not be able to tell all of this, because definitely all of these documents are really needed for you to successfully process your work permit. Anyway, before I enumerate all of these requirements, I would like to remind you that all of these documents should be authenticated by the Department of Foreign Affairs. Ate, do not come here without authenticating your documents. Why? Because if you come here with your unauthenticated documents, definitely it will be considered invalid. When you say invalid, meaning to say you cannot use it for any legal purpose. So you have two options if that happens. First, you have to go back to Philippines and authenticate it. Go kasi. Oh, ayan. Next, you have to go to the Philippine Embassy or go to the Philippine Consulate and request for a power of attorney authorizing one of your relatives to do the authentication in your behalf. Then after that, you will send that power of attorney, including your documents, to the Philippines again. Then after your relatives process your documents, they will send it back to you. So it is very complicated and it's very expensive. So again, before you come here, make sure that you go to the DFA and authenticate all of your documents. Alright? Let's really proceed with the documents needed. The first document needed is your diploma or university degree, together with your transcript of records. So there, they should be together. And before you can authenticate it, the DFA will ask you to provide CAV. What is CAV? CAV is certification, authentication, and verification provided by the school. So why do they ask for that? For them to be able to make sure that all those documents, school documents that you are asking them to authenticate, are really from the school itself. Because many aspiring applicants abroad are faking their documents. So that's one of the things that they do to avoid it. So next one is teaching certificate or your teaching certificates. What are those? Or why do you need those? Actually, in Vietnam, if you are a graduate of English or education major in English or education major in preschool, they will not ask you for teaching certificates anymore. So what are those teaching certificates? There are three. First is TESOL, next is TOEFL, and third is TESOL. TESOL is teaching of English as a second language. TOEFL is teaching of English as a foreign language, and TESOL is teaching English to teaching English to speakers of other languages. TESOL, teaching English to speakers of other languages. Style nyo. TESOL. Okay, next. So again, there. If you are English major right now, if you are English major or preschool major right now, as of the moment, you are not required to submit the teaching certificates. But if you are not English or preschool major, definitely you might want to provide or you might want to prepare your teaching certificates. Next is employment certificate. Let's say, for example, that this is not the first time you will work and you've worked in your country for some years. So you can ask your employer or your previous employer to give you the certificate of employment and ask the DFA to authenticate it with you. Well, actually, in my case, I wasn't able to prepare the certificate of employment from my previous company in Makati. So definitely you can still process the work permit without it. Next is NBI or police check. NBI is needed, or NBI certificate is needed if you are staying in Vietnam for less than 6 months. So NBI should also be authenticated by DFA. Well, just in case that you've been here for almost or for more than 6 months, so the police check must be done here. The next one is health check. So don't just go to any clinics here. So there are authorized hospitals and clinics that are allowed to provide or to release the certificate or the medical certificate. So you can check it on the internet depending on where you are. For example, you're in Hanoi, so you search for the hospitals or centers authorized by the Ministry of Labor to provide the medical certificate. And the last one is contract. Contract should be authenticated by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in Vietnam. So it should be done by your employer. Now, it will not end there. So even you have this requirements authenticated by the DFA, so this is the weird thing. You have to authenticate it again in the Philippine or at the Philippine consulate or embassy. So there you go, authentication again, and definitely you have to pay again. So you have your authenticated documents, you give it to the Philippine embassy or Philippine consulate, and they will authenticate it for you. Why? Because all of these documents must be translated to Vietnamese. And the translation company will not translate your document if the consulate or the embassy will not authorize it or will not authenticate it. So double authentication. Authentication in Philippines and authentication in Vietnam. Then after those two authentications, you have to go to the translation company and they will translate your documents. Then finally, you will be able to submit it to your employer, and your employer will be able to submit it to the Ministry of Labor, and if everything is good, you will have your work permit in 1 month, maybe. In my case, it's just 3 weeks or 1 month. It could be 1 month. It depends. It depends on the processing during that time. Well, laws are changing too frequent here in Vietnam, so maybe it really depends when are you going to process your work permit. But after you have the work permit, you can apply for your resident card. If you have the resident card, you don't need your visa anymore, and you can go back and go out and go back again in Vietnam without paying anything. Because as a resident, you have the privilege to go to other countries and go back here or come back here without paying any visa or any fees. So there. And that's it. That's how you can process your work permit here in Vietnam. So actually, it's just complicated at first. But once you already have those documents, in the future, if you need to process the work permit again after 2 years, it will be easier for you because you already have the documents authenticated. So you just have to repeat the process. And I hope I was able to help you. The reason why I made this video or this vlog is because many new teachers here in Vietnam ask those teachers who've been working in Vietnam for a long time how to process documents. And Actually, in my experience, if someone is asking me, I cannot reply on time because it's quite busy here. I mean, we don't always have free time to use Facebook. Sometimes if we have, of course, we have to call our family. So I think this is the best way for me to be able to answer very uh, for me to be able to answer appropriately. I mean, with complete details. So you can just watch this vlog. So that's it. And also, I apologize for a lot of mistakes. If I committed a lot of mistakes here because it's actually 2 a.m., 2 in the morning. And I'm quite sleepy now. It's just that tomorrow we will have our class again, and I might be so busy. So at least I was able to use my free time in a productive and informative way. So that's it. See you again in my next vlog. Bye.